Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running a Tales of the Valiant game set in the world of Midgard in the Dragon Empire region, known as the Marathi, the Marathi region. And yeah, it's really fun. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, tools, scenarios, adventures, all kinds of things. You get access to our awesome Lazy DM Discord community. You directly help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your outstanding support. Yes. So we have left the Shadow Roads. The characters conducted the main arc of this current time in my game is that the characters went on a great heist. They've now committed a major act that has thwarted the Dragon Empire and is going to have repercussions across the Dragon Empire. They broke into a vault filled with all of the coin required to fund the mercenary armies and the conscripted armies of the Southern Dragon Coil armies, the Southern Dragon Coil legions. Those legions were there to reinforce the Dragon Empire's holdings of northern regions that they had recently taken over. And now that money is not there, those armies are not going to be able to accomplish this goal. And this is going to cause a major issue for them in the northern regions. So the next quest that they took after getting rid of that money, they basically dumped it into the dry lands. The dry lands is sort of like an undead hellscape. They have a devil that they work with named Cattell. And Cattell opened a portal for them, and they shoveled 2 million gold. I think 2 to 3 million gold into this giant pit, into the dry lands where it's gone. Where that money went in the dry lands is going to be an interesting question to answer, but right now it's not a big issue. So they got rid of the money, and that caused a major ripple. So then they quickly escaped before the Dragon Empire could descend upon Blackspire and jumped over to the Shadow Roads. They followed the Shadow Roads. They met a shady ally with a deposed noble in the Shadow Roads, this strange otherworldly creature that appears like an elf but is clearly not an elf, who said, "I want you to get my husband back for me." And they said, "Sure, we'll go do that for you." And now they have made their way from the Shadow Roads back to the city of Nurdurin, the ruined city of Nurdurin, which used to be part of the Nuria region, and now is under draconic control as a ruined city. And it's out there that they have garrisoned both their mercenary army, known as the Sharpened Coins, and their conscripted army, which is known as the Southern Dragon Coil legions. So the players then said, okay, their goal is to assassinate Vesta the Shining Star. Vesta the Shining Star is the commander over these two legions. They are a silver dragon that commands it sits over top of these legions, as is one of the many children of Ibelin the Illustrious, who is one of the Morza, one of the draconic leaders of the Dragon Empire. So Vestar, they decided that, if they really want to nail the last nail into the coffin on this whole Dragon Coil thing, that both getting rid of all of the money and assassinating the general in charge would totally disrupt everything. And it could save thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives, tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of lives. Because right now it appears, actually this is a good secret that I should remember, it appears that Vestar the Shining Storm wants to send the legions anyway. So they're probably going to lose the mercenary company, right? It's going to be very hard to get the mercenary company to do anything without any money. But the other ones are conscripted. And the reason that they needed all that money was supply lines to keep them fed and to keep them armed and armored and able to travel through the Dragon Coil Mountains to the north. And it's like a 6-month journey for them to make that trek. I don't know if it's 6 months, but it was a while. That was why they needed 3 million gold. And without the gold, there's no supply lines. Without supply lines, almost all of those conscripts are going to die. They think they might, maybe if they're lucky, they can get 10 to 20% of them to survive the trial. And I think that there could be some interesting, fun, grim stuff that the characters could learn about as far as that. And if they stop Vestar before that goes, then the armies are not going, and then the armies can disperse. So there's lots of opportunity for disruption, major disruption that can be done by six powerful creatures. So that's where they currently stand. They started with a plan on how they're going to infiltrate what's known as the Third Heaven. The Third Heaven is a Nerderin citadel built along the mountainside of Nerderin. It's a Urian citadel built on the outskirts of Nerderin, and that's where Vestar operates. And they want to infiltrate that place, and then once they're in there, they want to go find Vestar and kill her. So their plan is they met some sharpened coin mercenaries, and the mercenaries in them came up with a plan that they would wheel up a great big cart that looks like they have some of the money, and that, hopefully communication is such that they will believe it and let it into the citadel. And when they let the money into the citadel, then the characters will have infiltrated the citadel and things could work there. So that is their current plan. So we are going to jump over to Obsidian now and do our actual prep. I am using Obsidian for our game prep today. If you want to learn more about using Obsidian for game prep, you can find a link down in the show notes. So let's see. We're going to create new from template. This is a Dragon Empire template. Bang. And we have some characters who are not there. So Cal is there. Gaudenzia is there. Mavin is not there. Rowan is not there. And Mateo is going to be there for a short bit. So we will keep those 5, but I know that Mateo is only going to be there for a short while, but otherwise we're going to have 4 characters today. So we'll want to keep that in mind. The characters. So we have Gaudenzia. Gaudenzia. So there was an interesting note that Gaudenzia knows Vestar. The player of Gaudenzia told me about this. Here we go. Remind me. So Gaudenzia has some connection to Vestar. I need to move over to my Obsidian notes. There we go. So, and Vestar probably knows Vestar and Vestar's. So we have to think a little bit about this situation. Gaudenzia and Cal have an interesting relationship because Cal used to own a vineyard, which was stolen by Vestar. And Gaudenzia knows Vestar and Vestar's winemaker, who's probably there. Mateo, being a mechanist, what could Mateo know? Probably understands the process of moving the gold into the Third Heaven. Tolstoy recognizes that killing Vestar could save hundreds of thousands of lives. Emmert, the ranger who lost a city, probably has has neighbors among the conscripts. I think that could be pretty cool. So I have an idea for the strong start today. I'm wearing the wrong glasses. There we go. So the strong start today, my idea for the strong start is that they meet they met some members of the Sharpened Coin, convinced them to, said, hey, I forget, they worked out some kind of deal. I think they paid them off. And they worked out a deal, and the Sharpened Coin mercenaries were like, yeah, we can at least get you what you need in order to try to get in there, but we're not risking our lives. We don't believe in your cause. We believe in cash. And cash isn't useful unless we can spend it. And then we can't spend it if we're murdered by dragons. So you asking us to go against the Dragon Empire is a pretty big deal because we've got a pretty long-standing contract with these guys. But our plan was to split ourselves off and go rent ourselves out to various small establishments. But I think that the leader of the Sharpened Coin mercenaries here so I think that the people that they made the bargain with are almost certainly going to go to the leader of the Sharpened Coin mercenaries. And the Sharpened Coin mercenary leader is going to be like, I want to talk to these guys. They destroyed 3 million gold. Where is it? Right? Is it reachable? Can we get it? Right? And then there could be, there could be something there. So I'm going to go look back under old notes because I want to remember, I got to go all the way back to when they were in Nerderin before. And I think I had NPCs. Yeah, so I got a bunch of NPCs here. This is back in March when they were back in Nerderin. And I can bring them forward. Where's my new session notes? Didn't I create new session notes? Did I create into the wrong place? I did. There we go. Obsidian made that pretty easy to fix. So I'm going to grab some NPCs from the last time they were in Nerderin. Melsoon Graveheart, halfling commander of the third finger of the lower left hand, who's the mercenary, or is part of the nearby raiders, Kala Siegeblade, veteran commander of the Sharpened Coin. Athen Iron Chest, what a great name, is the orc leader of the Sharpened Coin mercenaries. So I think Athen comes to talk to the characters. And I think he just wants to have a conversation with them. And, we can figure out like what he's most interested in is where's the gold, right? Like, is this reachable? And, you guys are really interesting. I want you to tell me what you did. And he's going to like bring food and nice stuff. And he's like, hey, I just want to have a conversation with you guys, right? Like, we're cool. It doesn't mean he wouldn't sell them out in a minute, right? But right now, why? The Dragon Empire doesn't have any money. And he's like, as far as I know, you know where the money is. No one else knows. And, that makes you the richest people in this whole region. So I certainly want to be friends with you. So the conversation with Athen Iron Chest, leader of the Sharpened Coin. Since I've mentioned it, and what we can mention, orc leader of the Sharpened Coin, comes to talk to the characters. That means I don't need him on my NPC list because I've got him up here. This is one of my new tricks. I'm going to talk about this on the talk show too, about consolidating your prep notes by, only having something in there once, and that you can mash the steps together when it makes sense for the notes and for the game that you're running. If you know a character is going to be in a scene, you can put him in scenes and you don't have to put him in as a notable NPC somewhere else. It's something I'm toying with. So what other scenes? So then the infiltration of the third heaven. We're just going to call it third heaven. And that's the next step. Right. And I don't know that I have any more scenes than that. Those are really the only two scenes. Right. And we could put a goal in here, but I know it, which is assassinate Vestar, the Shining Storm, Akinji, in charge of the Southern Dragon Coil legions. Now I can pull Vestar out of my NPC notes. That's really all I need for scenes. Right. For secrets and clues, Vestar plans to march the DC Legion across the Dragon Coil mountains without their supply lines. 80 to 90% of them will die, but Vestar doesn't care. Vestar is horribly frightened that his mother, as Vestar, I don't know if Vestar is a male or female. Vestar is horribly frightened that his mother will find out about the lost money and the death of, what was the other guy's name? And will take the blame. Vestar is served by a, what are they called? Spell scale vassal. And I think I put this in my previous notes. I'm looking over my old notes here. Yeah, a lot of these I already had. I like this. Vestar resides in the former Nurden Citadel high up in the mountains, former seat of the Nurian Lord Kiernan Redseeker, called the Citadel of the Third Heaven, a seat of Balhotep, Lord of the Heavens and King of all Dragons, which is why they liked it. We're going to put that in there. I thought I had a name for the... So I have the Nighthorns, who was a subsidiary of the Sharpened Coin. I wrote this in. Thank you, past Mike Shea. We don't need Collis. Past Mike Shea wrote notes from the game, including an NPC that showed up at the last minute. I don't remember if I gave out this Scimitar of Laughing Nikishi that cast darkness. I like this treasure, and I don't remember what treasure I gave out last. A Slither. Where did they get Slither? Where would they have gotten Slither? I think I did give that out. Yeah. I think Emmert got that. So we'll see. I might roll up another piece of treasure. I like this secret, although they've already decided they're not going down below. They said that every time they go down below, they end up having to fight other stuff. And I'm like, well, you're fighting stuff no matter what way you go. But they're going to try a different approach, which is cool. But I still like that secret that there's Ghostwalkers are actually below. There's always Ghostwalkers below. Yeah, here we go. Stonewolf, the white spell scale vassal. Vestar is served by a white spell scale vassal named Stonewolf, sworn to Ibelin. So that's a good secret. Are there any other secrets that I need from the other one? I already got this one. The sentries found disemboweled standing where they were. The middle finger of the lower left hand is hoping to rob Vestar of whatever Vestar has left. I think it's Vestar has some of the monies, some of the treasury previously passed from Blackspire in the third heaven. Anything else? I think those are all, so that's all I can harvest from the last one. Now so one thing is, because I added like secrets to each of these characters, I don't need to have 10 separate secrets. So I'm actually pretty good on secrets. I think I'm going to leave that be. What's more important to me now So there's a couple things we need to do. One is I need the map. Here's the map of Nerderin, the city. And then I need a map of, and hopefully I kept it. I'm pretty sure I printed it. What did I do with it? That's sad. Crap. It's not here in I don't think it's in these. I had a good map, and that map is long gone. It's because I used the map from the City of Arches. That is so funny. So yeah, let's see. Let's go. I decided to use, I was going to see if they would even recognize that I was using how funny is it that I'm sad that I lost it and it was my own book. It was from my own book. That's pretty funny. Let's see, City of Arches, PDF, and I want the no background version. Let us go to the GM prep so we can see it. Yes, and I actually printed the whole thing out. So like I'm actually far more set up than I need to be. So the adventure location was called Bone Spur Keep. And I printed out my notes about like the stuff and the people that would be here in Bone Spur Keep. But these are the maps, right? So this is the lower map. This is the crypts below, and then the keep itself. And I'm gonna kind of like flip it. I'm gonna flip it horizontally, just in case my players recognize that this map was from something else. Like, I'm gonna hope they don't remember running this when I ran it in Shadowdark for them, but it's the same map as Shadowdark, because that's funny. So I'm gonna flip it horizontally and reskin it. And I've never really done this. I don't think I've ever taken like a map that I was pretty familiar with and ran it multiple times in multiple games with a different scenario, just to see if the players would recognize what's going on. But that's pretty funny. So yeah, then the question I have is, are the inhabitants the right inhabitants for this place? And I think I can shake it up a little bit. I had like the occupants of the lower areas, that was all fine. Then the occupants, so I will probably replace a fair number of the occupants with kobolds, dragonborn, and maybe lizard folk, desert lizard folk, because they're more trusted by the Morza and thus more trusted by Vestar. I think so that should be fine. Like, do I have enough that I feel like that I can improvise this whole situation, like as far as guards are concerned and things like that? Probably. Then if we're primarily going to be focusing on the upper keep, they're going to be coming in. So I'm going to flip it, but we'll go. They're going to come in via K1, or not K1, but this little chute here. Oops. They're going to come in from this left-hand side. They can make it into the main courtyard. There will be the murder holes and everything like that they have to get through. So one thing is, like, you don't want them to have an alert. Like, I want to give them an opportunity to make it. So you don't want to make the defenses of this place so hard. This is one where like realism and fun are at odds with each other. And the realism is like, they could go in those front gates and like, great, what's the password? And the characters are like, okay. And they're like, murder them, dump the burning oil on them and kill them, right? And so that would suck if like they don't even make it past the front door. But it could be, so here's the thing, like there's a path here, we got a secret, right? This is where fun and realism can combine. And a reality is that, what's his name? He's not in the NPC list because he moved to the other list. Athon knows the password to get into the keep. The password is desert is what? Or the passphrase. The desert rose thrives at night. That's a good one. So the desert rose thrives at night. That'd be pretty funny. And that's one reason they'd have to kind of work with them is like, I have the password to get in, right? And you don't have it without me, and you'll get killed if you try to enter it without the passphrase. Michael in chat says, J-Quay the dungeon. Yes, except this one's already been J-Quay'd because there's multiple ways to get in. They could get in by flying, they could get in through the lower caverns, or they could get in through the front door, and they chose the front door. So they have already been J-Quay'd, and they already chose a path. That was what was chosen last time. So even though I'm not railroading them down this one, they chose that. They already know that. They could have flown over it or tried to fly in. They know that they could have gone in through the lower ones, and they already picked one. So the agency was already there. That all works. But yes, very good point. Very good point, but already selected. So then we'll see like what their plan is. If they have the passcode, then let's see, where's their treasury? Where would they put, I'm going to just zoom in this map a little bit more. Where would they where would they keep their treasury? So probably pretty low to the ground because it could be heavy and they have to transport it in and out. So I would say probably in K13, right? Area K13 is their vault. And that way they can bring it in the front. They can go past the training yard and everything like that, down this big corridor, across the outside bridge, through the quarter. It would be a quartermaster, the accountant. K11 probably has an accountant in it. And then the treasury. And then Vestar is in that outer tower all the way at the top at K25. So yeah, areas, this whole right-hand area is all where Vestar resides. Vestar is able to transform into a humanoid form and operates out of the K20 area. So that is the throne area where Vestar, will reside. How does Vestar get to K20? Probably just across. So K24 is probably an open area as well. So Vestar can fly from K25 to K24, transforms into a human, goes down to the throne room, and meets people down in K20. So that we have some behavior there. Now, Vestar's, I think in K22 is the quarters of K22 is the quarters of what's his name, the white rune spell scale, Stonewolf. So we have Stonewolf in K22. We have Vestar resides in K25. We're going to move these to secrets, right? Because these are things the characters could learn more so than fantastic locations. And we can combine them just to keep my notes a little tighter. Vestar, the treasury, is in K13. K11, K10 is actually open to the air. So that gives them kind of a fun escape. There's also a sewage drain beneath K9. So that works. And then Vestar leaves audiences in K20. Limbic says, with a complex map like this, will you place it in front of the players at the table or have them draw it? I will have them draw it. I will draw little pieces of it in a small version of myself. But one of the tricks to using the same map multiple times for the same players is that if I've got my notes and I'm drawing it by hand, I can change things a little bit so that it seems a little different enough that I bet the players won't recognize it. I would be very curious if the players recognize it. It won't ruin the game if they did, but it'd be pretty interesting. So. Yeah, so I think we've got that. Are there any other secrets about so I need more treasure, I think. I think it's a pretty big treasury. So I think we're going to go with a tier 3 treasure hoard. Let's go to my Tales of the Valiant treasure hoard, and we'll go to tier 3, which is a fair bit, right? And it's, again, I think we're going to like more than they can carry. I know they got the Cloak of Elvenkind. I think they got the Scimitar. Pretty sure they did. So I'll just make sure they did. But I don't think I need to give them crazy things. And gloves of swimming and climbing could be kind of fun and interesting. So I think that's a good amount of treasure. This is actually it's a lot of treasure. There's a tier 3 treasure hoard. But I think it's legit, given that it's like the remaining treasure that is being used to fund it. So I wanted to put a fair bit of value in there. I think we'll put some trade bars in here instead of the platinum. So 2,100. So let's see. We decided 50 gold is 1 pound. So a 10 pound bar equals 500 gold. So there are four times 10 pound gold bars, which are 50 GP each, right? 500 GP each. If we wanted to make it 8, we could drop it to 2,400 gold. So there's 2,400 gold pieces in coin and 8 10 pound gold bars worth 500 gold each. And then some garnets and an embroidered orcish wedding gown and a glowing dwarven amber and coral ship in a bottle. What could the ship in the bottle do? What if it had teleport? What if it could teleport it would basically create a flying ship that takes you from one place to another, and you could teleport from one place to another. That might be a cool item that they could get. And they could probably use it right away, right? Like that would be pretty interesting. So I kind of like the idea that it creates a ship that can take them to any place they've previously been on this airship that lasts like one, that lasts like one shot. You get to use it like one time. Would it be too powerful we could have it work more than once, but maybe like recharging it they have to do something special to recharge it. They're not sure what they do. Like, I'm going to probably waffle on this one. And I don't know whether or not they'll be able to get that and keep it. So, monsters. Are there any particularly unique monsters that I want to put in here? I could, let's see. So we know we're in the upper area. So I think what I might do is whip up my own monster list instead of using the one that's in the City of Arches. I can use that as inspiration, but I want to add some of my own stuff. So these are particularly for the keep. So I think actually, no, I take it back. I think the list that they have there is pretty good. The list I wrote in my book, which you can now buy on slyflourish.com, is pretty good. 2 hobgoblins that are arguing. A goblin cook staggers by dragging a huge pot of stew. An escaped prisoner runs past chased by 3 thugs. A heavy armored ogre carries a huge ballista while being barked at by a halfling veteran. A wandering mage mumbles to themselves lost in thought. Dwarven commoners drag waste buckets to dump off the keep's walkway. 4 veterans march past. A hobgoblin captain pets a ravenous hellhound while 2 nervous hobgoblins fidget nearby. Gnome commoner drags a huge bucket of mead towards the manticore den. 2 scouts are returning from a rough journey. A commoner cleans a bloodstained floor. 5 disgruntled bugbear mercenaries wander by. I will change some of these to lizard folk, kobolds, and dragonborn. But otherwise, I think that those can kind of work here. So I don't feel like I need a lot else. The challenge of this one is not really in the challenge ratings of the creatures that they're facing as much as the situation itself. But the idea that they're not, like, he doesn't have guards that are necessarily any more. So we could have wyvern riders. So I think instead of the manticores, we're going to change them to wyverns. And we'll make this a secret. So Vestar has 2 trained wyverns who act as aerial cavalry. So we saw them before, but they never actually dealt with the wyverns. Well, now they might actually have to deal with a pair of wyverns. So that gives some extra, some kind of extra fun. So I think, so how do I feel, right? I feel pretty good. I got some good connections to the characters. I've got a good, strong start. I know the next big step, which is the infiltration of the third heaven, but I'm not spelling out scene by scene because I don't know how it's going to work scene by scene. I have the goal, which I can clarify with them. I have a big pile of secrets that the characters can learn, some notable NPCs, and a big pile of treasure. I'll have to find out if I gave away that scimitar or not. I just don't remember if I did. I should keep better track of like who got what loot. So I think we are all set today. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me today while we prepared for my Sunday RPG. If you enjoyed this show, there are 3 things you can do. Number 1, sign up for the Sly Flourish newsletter. It is absolutely free to sign up. You get a free adventure generator for signing up, and you get a weekly RPG-related article with links to all of the other work that I do. It is the best way to stay on top of all of the things that I am offering to our awesome hobby. And it's totally free. The second thing you could do is support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to tons of tools, tricks, tips, scenarios, our dedicated Discord server, a dedicated podcast. There's tons of stuff that you get for being a patron of Sly Flourish. It's a really good deal. Every week, new folks are jumping in to find out the awesome stuff that you can get on Patreon. It's really, really good. Check it out. And you can pick up any of my books, including The City of Arches, which has this map in it, which has a whole different bunch of scenarios for City of Arches, all kinds of stuff. Fantastic book of, if I say so myself, I think it's a fantastic book, but I'm using it a ton. Fantastic book for a fantastic city built around archways that connect to all kinds of different worlds. It is my model and ideal book for a campaign source book for this thing. So if you want to see what I believe, then that is the best way to do it. Check that out on the Sly Flourish bookstore, along with my other books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, Lazy DM's Workbook, Lazy DM's Companion, Forge of Foes, and more. There are links to all of those in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.